What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have how Gati Shakti master plan will help India snatch factories from China. Okay, India, tell China, move, get out. All right, before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy it, please don't forget to subscribe, get a video a thumbs up, and if you'd like to support this channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is smash that join button. Let's jump in.
गति शक्ति हमारे देश के लिए एक ऐसा नेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मास्टर प्लान होगा जो होलिस्टिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की नींव रखेगा, हमारी इकोनॉमी को एक इंटीग्रेटेड और होलिस्टिक पाथवे देगा.
Mission Gati Shakti that aims to reform the infrastructure sector and minimize the logistics cost.
PM Gati Shakti is a transformative approach for economic growth and sustainable development.
प्रधानमंत्री गति शक्ति योजना जो एक प्रकार से भारत के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट को एक नई गति भी देगी, एक नई दिशा देगी.
A plan to raise India's competitive index and match the manufacturing power of China.
Hi everybody. Exactly 1 year back, on 13th of October 2021, the Government of India launched a marvelous initiative to strengthen and boost the logistics sector of India. And this initiative was named as the Gati Shakti Master Plan. And just like the National Logistics Policy, this plan is aimed at fixing the logistical nightmare of India. And while most media houses will portray this policy to be a stepping stone to compete with China, unfortunately, the truth is that we are nowhere close to China, and we are competing with those countries that we never considered to be our competition at all. To put that in perspective, while most media houses will tell you that a lot of factories are moving from China to India, in reality, if you look at the numbers, in 2018-19, 56 US companies relocated their manufacturing base from China. But surprisingly, while 3 companies came to India, 6 went to Mexico, 8 went to Thailand, 11 went to Taiwan, and 26 companies went to Vietnam. And this was because we had a major problem in the very functioning of our ministries. And unless we fix this problem, we will never be able to compete with our Asian competitors. This is the reason why the Government of India envisions to revolutionize the very functioning of our ministries with a trillion rupee budget. And the initiative
And are they also not doing some sort of tax plan that incentivizes people to bring their businesses to India? That incentivizes business where they don't have to pay taxes for a certain amount of years. I feel like I watched a video that was saying that. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was the case to incentivize more businesses. Hey, come to India.
Execute this plan is the Gati Shakti Master Plan. So the question is, what is so terribly wrong with India that in spite of having such a large population and abundance of resources, Vietnam, Thailand and Mexico are winning the manufacturing race against India? How will Gati Shakti initiative revolutionize the functioning of the Indian ministries? And most importantly, as citizens of India, what are the reference materials to help you understand this game-changing policy better? This video is brought to you by Small Case, and they have a special announcement for Diwali, but more on this at the end of the video. To understand Gati Shakti, we first have to understand the current problems in India and why are we so much behind all these smaller developing nations. The first and the most important reason for this is our failure to build infrastructure efficiently and quickly. For example, even if the Indian government gives out a huge piece of land to a textile company for free, even if the labor costs in India are ultra cheap, unless that place has good highways, that place is of no use because there is no way to ship those goods in and out of that place. And another example of the same is the government investment in Krishnagiri district, wherein an industrial estate was established in 1993 with an area of 1093 acres. But because there was no reliable road and rail connectivity, even after 27 years till 2020, only 30% of that land could be allotted. So government policies, people,
30%?
money, all of that is useless if there is no infra. Similarly, after the goods arrive in India, they should be able to move at a very quick pace without any delays. Because the more time vehicles spend in halting, the more inefficient the system becomes. Eventually, it increases the cost of production. A classic example of the same is the average turnaround time at Indian ports. For those who don't know, the average turnaround time for a port is the time taken between the arrival of a vessel and its departure. And mind you, these ships are rented by shipping companies from shipyards that cost millions, sometimes even tens of millions of dollars in just rent. So every single day of delay means the cost of transportation increases. And the sad fact is that while the Indian ports have an average turnaround time of 2.5 days or 60 hours, in China, the same turnaround time is just 12 hours. This means it takes 3 to 5 times longer in India to turn around a ship as compared to China. And this increases the rental cost of the ship, delays the delivery of products, eventually reducing speed and increases the cost of the end product. And inefficiencies like these are the reason why Indian traders spend $180 billion more for logistics. This is what handicaps the importers and exporters in India and make made in India products less competitive in the global markets.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. I did not know that about, and there's so many things you get to kind of learn about when it comes to things in different countries that you would have never known. Like, would have never known about turnaround time at ports, and then how much it actually costs to like rent these ships that millions, tens of millions. That's crazy. So yeah, if you can do 12 hours compared to 2.5 days, 60 hours, that is a humongous difference. It makes your goods almost 3 to 5 times more expensive because it takes that much longer for you to be able to ship them. And so, but I do know Modi has incredible infrastructure plans for India. And I think this was made in 2022. We are almost in 2025. So if anybody knows, has this improved as of now? Or turnaround time still at this point and still being worked on? I know there's a lot of infrastructure happening in India right now. That's been absolutely amazing for the country. Y'all talk to me about this one.
Now the question over here is, why exactly do we have so many problems? Well, the government of India itself puts it in 3 major buckets. The first problem that we have is the lack of coordination between ministries of India. And a classic example of the same is our road digging. Now, as we all know, road digging causes a lot of air pollution, noise pollution, and a lot of traffic jams. Yes. But road construction is extremely important, so we cannot complain if we really want development.
Facts.
But the problem over here is that immediately after the road is built, another group of people will come out of nowhere and they'll start digging. Why? Because they want to lay down the cables. Then the road will be built again, which means more trouble. But again, somebody will dig it up for installing sewage pipes, and this goes on and on. So taxpayers' money gets wasted with no development happening, and only
that's absolutely frustrating. You just figure, like, once somebody digs it up, everybody that needs to go in there goes in there at one time. That coordination has to get there. So everybody goes in one time, does what they need to do. So then once the road is built, nobody else has to dig it up. It's there.
The contractors get rich at the end of the day. Basically, if I had completed my civil engineering degree properly, I would have been rich today. So when this lack of coordination happens for giant projects like highways, ports, and gas pipelines, we lose a lot of money without making any significant progress. And this brings us to the second problem, which is a lack of standardization and approvals. And a classic example is our overbridges. You know guys, every time a road over bridge is designed in India, it requires an approval. And this approval takes so much time that when the Delhi-Meerut expressway was being built, due to lack of approval for a single overbridge, even after the entire road construction was completed, the commissioning of the project itself got delayed by 11 freaking months. Now, if an overbridge takes 11 months to be approved, can you imagine how much time it would take to get environmental clearances and land acquisition? It takes years. For example, the Vidyasagar Bridge in Kolkata was designed tall enough to allow the movement of ships to the river port. This project took 22 years to be built, out of which, for 7 years, there was no construction activity at all. And finally, in 1992, when the bridge was opened for use, as it turns out, the ships had become too big for the rivers. This is the second major problem that we have in the functioning of our government. And the third problem that we have is the underutilization and miscalculated development. For example, during 1996-98, the Steel Ministry of India decided to set up a manufacturing unit in Assam. And after spending a lot of time and money in land acquisition and development, they found out that the acquired area was a natural swampy land of Brahmaputra and goes underwater during the monsoon. And again, this leads to wastage of taxpayers' money, lots and lots of delays, and no significant development. These are just some of the many problems in hundreds of different permutations and combinations that is pulling India behind. And this is the reason why the government of India decided to launch the Gati Shakti National Master Plan. This is a plan to basically accelerate India's infrastructure, and the government plans to do this through the joint planning of 20 plus major government departments, whereby every department gets access to a database of ongoing and future projects. And along with the information that they receive, they must upload their information to inform other ministries about their projects and their future plans. And when all this data
like this just makes so much more sense, to the point of you just wonder kind of why this wasn't implemented like earlier. Because yeah, like I feel like in order for the country to prosper and to stop wasting tax dollars, you guys all have to be in coordination with these projects. You've got to know everything that's going on. That honestly just makes sense for them to all share like a data network of, and then you got, when you're planning to do something, you got to put it in so everybody that may be involved would know. So I'm telling you, I think Modi's doing an absolute incredible job. I think this is incredible. The inefficiency, I can't imagine. Well, I probably could imagine. But the inefficiency has to be terrible for the citizens, right? When it's taking too long to get certain things approved, it's taking too long for import-export. Its efficiency just has to be a lot better.
Collated in a single database, everyone would have the right and accurate information on time.
That's
Eventually,
perfect.
using this data, they can coordinate and even synchronize their infrastructural development.
There you
So,
go.
let's try to understand how this will work using some simple examples. The first pillar of this plan is to have perfect coordination and synchronized planning. For this, the government has introduced a centralized portal and geographic information system by which all these ministries can coordinate with each other. For example, the Delhi-Mumbai expressway that is under construction is a 1,300 kilometer expressway. This is happening under the Road Infrastructure Department. Similarly, the Telecom Ministry was planning to lay down optical fiber cables along the similar route. Now, had it been the old system, either the Telecom Ministry would have dug up the entire section of the road after the construction of the expressway, or they would have actually acquired more lands to lay down the cables. And both of these moves would have been a terrible investment of time, money and resources, especially because it's a 1,300 kilometer expressway that we're talking about. But you know what, guys? After the Gati Shakti master plan was implemented, both Road Infrastructure Department and the Telecom Ministry could actually see their projects overlapping. So they decided to coordinate. So now, first they'll be laying the 1,300 kilometer of optical fiber network, and then they'll be laying the highways. This way, they don't have to acquire any additional land, and the cable can be laid quickly without any digging or delays.
So much easier.
And this one move itself will save thousands of crores of taxpayers' money. The second pillar is fast approval and efficient project planning. To tell you about it, the Gati Shakti mission is currently working to bring the land revenue maps of villages to the national master plan. So right now, every state government has undertaken the computerization of land records. But even then, the consolidated land records are not available anywhere for the users to see on one platform. But after the implementation of this phase, in 2023, if a ministry wants to make land acquisition plan in a 50-kilometer stretch, which includes 20 villages, once these maps are updated on the national master plan, the ministry planning the project in that particular area will be able to see everything in those 20 villages through which the project will be passing. And without going to the Tehsil's office, they will know how much land has to be acquired and what are the problems in that particular alignment. So if it is passing through a wildlife sanctuary where it is difficult to get clearance, in the planning stage itself, they will modify the project to bypass the sanctuary. So the root cause of the problem itself will be tackled if only our planners had all the data in a single database. And this brings us to the third pillar of Gati Shakti, which is multimodal connectivity. In simple words, more highways, more ports and more airports will be built in coordination such that our major industries can decrease their logistics cost. For example, if we understand that a large quantity of coal has to be transported from Jabalpur to the Mundra port, a special rail and road network can now be identified and constructed by which the cost and time of transporting coal could be decreased. And here's where we have giant projects like Bharatmala, Sagarmala, inland waterways, land ports, Udan and many other infrastructural projects coming up. Similarly, in the telecommunication sector, a total length of 35 lakh kilometers of optical fiber network is to be laid down by 2025. This will connect all 2.5 lakh gram panchayats with high-speed internet and 4G mobile connectivity in the next 2 years. And here's where we have the cherry on the cake in the form of ULIP system of the National Logistics Policy. As in, you being a business owner, if you want to send something from one place to the other, if you enter the to and from data, the app will automatically show you the most optimized route to deliver your products. This will include all 4 modes of transport. So let's say you want to ship iron ore. then the platform will automatically tell you that the most economical mode of transport for iron ore up to 400 to 500 kilometers is a slurry pipeline. Beyond 400 up to 1200 kilometers is rail, and beyond 1100 kilometers is coastal shipping. And wherever feasible, beyond 300 to 400 kilometers, you can even opt for inland waterways which are more economical. So if you choose rail, just like Ola looks for a vacant cab, this logistics system would look for an available porter for a particular date and available time slots for a train, and another porter to carry it from the destination station to the client's warehouse. Meanwhile, if there is a halt in between where the goods have to be stored in a warehouse, you will also get to see the number and types of warehouses available. So if you're shipping apples, you will need to book a cold storage warehouse. If you're shipping chemicals, you will need a certain temperature control storage, and so on and so forth. And lastly, while moving from one state to the other, while moving from one mode of transport to the other, while moving from one warehouse to the other, you will need a dozen permission. Like I said, in the Indian logistics industry, you require a dozen certifications and permissions from different ministries that are not connected together. But in the unified logistics interface, it is expected that all the ministries will be tied together to make the process of permissions and certifications very, very easy. This is how the Gati Shakti and National Logistics Policy are expected to bring in a logistical revolution in India.
This master plan is legit, absolutely genius. It is a game changer, and his breakdown and explanation of it is absolutely perfect. He makes it so easy for everyone to understand, but yes, the efficiency is going to be amazing. It sounds like this is perfectly what India needs. So many different industries coming together, coordinating everything that they do, and then also being able to see certain things on the screen. You know, okay, well, this is in the way, so we got to bypass this if we want to build in this particular region. Or it's just everything connected is exactly, it's going to make things so much more efficient. It's going to make things so much greater. That's Gati Shakti master plan is insane.
By which our traders will have world-class and efficient connectivity to produce globally competitive products. And hopefully, it will encourage more companies to relocate from China to India as opposed to Vietnam, Indonesia and other such countries. So this looks fantastic, right? So can we say for sure that India will go on to become a market leader in manufacturing just like China? Well, I would say don't be too excited with headlines because we have a very, very long way to go. And this brings me to the most important part of the episode, which are the reference materials to help you keep track of Gati Shakti and to keep a very close eye on the government such that they end up executing this plan and don't just use this as a marketing gimmick. Meanwhile, if you're excited about the growth story of India because of policies like Gati Shakti and NLP, you could start your investments in the Indian stock market this Diwali with the small case.
I'm gonna skip the ads, but I think this is just an absolute genius plan. I think Modi and that government, man, is taking this country on such the right path. They're incredible leaders. That's all we have. If you guys enjoyed that, please don't forget to smash subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Check out the next one. I'll see y'all next time.